Peace and love, brothers and sisters. Peace and love. Y'all know who it be. It's always me. It's the Aquamarine Amicus Warrior. It's the Heyoka. And I'm here to drop my knowledge and speak my peace for all my brothers and sisters across the land and sea. My message today is ratchet censoring. Okay? And this is a very powerful message I want y'all to hear me on because, you know, it hits close to home. Ratchet censoring is what I like to call you assuming somebody doesn't have the same amount of money as you do. You assuming because somebody looks or speaks a different language that they must be the enemy. Ratchet censoring is you discriminating against somebody who is of a different pigmentation or color than you. Ratchet censoring is sending an innocent boy or girl home because they said retarded or faggot. You know, it used to be we could speak our piece and we could drop that knowledge and y'all would fill us on the logic of what we had to say. Okay, now I'm gonna make this clear right quick. I'm not discriminating against my community of the LGBTQIA, you know, against any community, okay? But I have a small problem when we forget who we are. We ratchet censor people by the clothes they wear, the food they eat, the way they speak, or who lives here and who lives where, and who has much and who has less. I'm gonna give you a prime example. I saw a homeless man a while back. He asked me for $1. Okay. Now I was happy to go in the store and get him a sandwich, get him a bag of chips, and get him a juice. You know what this man said to me? He said, "Bless you. You will always have a place in God's kingdom." I said, "You know what, man? I didn't do that to have a place in God's kingdom." I said, "I did that because if I was out here struggling like you are right now, I would want a kind-hearted man or woman, or even a child, to see me, to see the goodness in my heart and know that I am trying my best, and I am trying to provide for myself and maybe my family or my friends too, or my children. And I wanted them to see me and help me. Not because of what I wear, not because of who I am, but I wanted them to help me because they are people who have a good heart and a good head on their shoulders." What happened to those days, brothers and sisters? Now, our soldiers come back from fighting across the land to sea. You know what they get? Nothing. You know what they get, honestly? They get to be homeless on the street. You drive up and down the street, guess what happens? You turn up your nose at them like you so better than them. When you forget by the snap of the big man's hands upstairs, you could be in that same predicament. You could lose your little bit of wealth. You could lose your home. You could lose your car. You could lose your bike. You could lose your life. We have been ratchet censoring people since the dawn of time. And we don't know what he or she or they or them go through on a daily basis. We only see the outside. We don't look inside. You don't let the heart, the mind, and the body unite as one. Because we are so busy looking with our eyes that we don't see the truth beneath the surface. I'm going to give y'all another example. My auntie told me something that I find quite irritating. She told me that a member of my family, he got suspended from school. Now, when she told me that, I was a little bit irritated because I'm like, education is the most important thing. Even though we have all the knowledge already inside ourselves, sometimes it pays to get a refresher. But when she told me he got suspended for getting ratchet censoring, that was my problem. He was ratchet censored because he said the word faggot or retarded. Where was this ratchet censoring during World War I? Where was this ratchet censoring during World War II? Where was this ratchet censoring during the enslavement of other races? Okay? Where was this ratchet censoring during the police brutality and what was this ratchet censoring during the war with, you know, Japan and 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 Russia and Ukraine and fucking Iraq and shit like this, man. Now you can get sued for saying stupid stuff. And you should be allowed to speak your piece without having your mouth duct taped or a hand put over your mouth because you don't know if that'll offend somebody. What the hell is happening to this planet? So we don't sue for the pollution in the ocean anymore, for the oil that's been in the ocean. We don't sue for the poison water in Flint, Michigan. We don't sue for the trash that's popping up in every other country and floating in the ocean and choking up the dolphins and the turtles and the fish and the big corporations who are polluting the ocean. We don't sue for the rich that are chopping down dozens of trees that we need for oxygen to breathe. We don't sue for the various endangered species that are getting wiped from extinction on a daily basis. We don't sue for rape. We don't sue for murder. We don't sue for incest. We don't sue for bombing. We don't sue for burglary. But we sue because somebody says something you don't agree with. Really? Then explain this logic to me. If Donald Trump gets into the White House, he wants to put a frisk law into effect. Y'all know what that means? It means if you have a certain pigmentation, like, oh, I don't know, African American, Jamaican, Black, German, Latino, Puerto Rican, Mexican, the people who actually helped build this country up, that means the police of a certain background, and we all know what I'm saying there. I'm not saying the color, I'm saying a certain background, can actually sit up here and arrest you or frisk you for no reason whatsoever just because, God forbid, he ever gets into the White House. He'll actually pose that law that they have the right to do that. Now, it's only recently that police had to start wearing body cams so we can actually see the cruelty that they've been doing to the common man or woman of a different ethnic persuasion that is not their color. And that was a blessing from the grace of God that we was able to get that on them. Because let's face it, without that, they would still be committing the same crimes of falsely arresting somebody or planting a gun on them or arresting them because they look a certain way or a certain color because they in the wrong neighborhood or some shit like that. Okay. Now I'm getting back to the point I'm trying to say is ratchet censoring. We suing for the most ridiculous shit nowadays. The main things we should be suing for is holding the ozone layer. You know, the fact that there's pollution in the water. Oh, let's start with the many beautiful species that once existed between 2002 and 2024 that have basically been wiped from existence. The over excessive hunting of the beautiful rhinoceroses and snakes and crocodiles and elephants and bears and wolves and eagles and hawks and falcons. But we're ratchet censoring a child because his parents didn't educate him correctly or didn't talk correctly around him. Really, when did our mouths become so zipped up or sewed up or we weren't allowed to speak? Now, there was this old story. I'm not sure from what movie I watched it. But this girl loved to make dolls because she had no friends, okay? So she made a doll that was most beautiful. It looked like her, she called it a different name. The doll, she sold its mouth shut because nobody would listen to her when she spoke the truth. And it really hurt me when I saw this TV show. I think it was on Ghost Whisperer or something like that. Yeah, I think it was on Ghost Whisperer. But in this story, the girl sewed the doll's mouth shut because nobody would hear the truth of a child. Is that what the world is becoming? Where we all have to walk around with our mouths zipped up or sewed up because we don't want to hear the truth anymore? We only believe the lies? So, we can't speak our piece anymore without being ratchet censored. But a president who wants to, should I say, a former president who's been known to be not a friend to any race that is not his own color, wants to sit up here and impose a frisk law or make the rich more richer than they already are by not allowing them to be taxed. It's okay with this it's okay with disrespecting every other race out there. And y'all are suing because of a child said retarded or faggot in school. Look, at the end of the day, you know what you should do if a kid makes a mistake? You sit down with a guidance counselor or a social worker, okay? You talk to them. You teach them what is okay to say and what is okay not to say. You don't kick the future state senator, the future scientist, the future politician, the future police officer, the future firefighter, the future astronaut on Uranus, for that matter, out of school and force them in front of a computer and tell them this is where they should be from now on because they said the wrong thing. You don't ratchet censor them because of that. Like I said, I'm not disrespecting my LGBTQIA community because I have friends and family who are, in that community. But I have a problem when we just cast aside our children and we don't teach them the right way because we are leading by bad examples as well. The children look up to the elders and those who are above them, it goes elders, mom and dad, or grandpa, it goes elders who are considered the grandma and grandpa or whatever, your guardian, whatever, and your mom and dad or moms and dads or whatever. Those are the ones that children look up to. And if you can't be the right voice of reason, the right way to speak without knowing that you're in the presence of children so they won't repeat what you say back to other people, then maybe we should all walk around with our mouths taped up or zipped up or sewed shut. Because if you're going to sue for something that stupid, there's something seriously wrong. You can't ratchet censor a child without knowing the reason why they said that or where they heard that from or what was the purpose of them saying that in the first place. Okay? You can't ratchet censor somebody for dressing a certain way or the clothes they wear or the food they eat or the way they speak. Okay? You can't ratchet censor somebody because they're from a different country and you think because they don't have the same values as you do that you're allowed to start a war with them. It truly baffles me how we become so blind. There was this song by this band called Trey Sings. It's called Open Up Your Eyes, We Are Blind. And I keep thinking about that song because I saw it on this TV show a while back called Flashpoint. This kid got so ratchet censored, okay? He had a best friend, but she left him behind because the popular crowd the popular jock started to like her. And then when he went to go see his best friend, the jock didn't want him hanging around his girl. So he basically beat him up and told him to say in front of had all his friends record him while he was beating him up, which was a stupid idea in the first place, and told her friend, which was the guy he was beating up, to say, I'm a faggot and I'm a piece of garbage. Now, you ratchet censored somebody, okay? Made them feel like crap without knowing what they have to deal with in their day-to-day lifespan, in their day-to-day life period. Not knowing what they have to get up and how they have to cheer themselves up just a little bit to go through their day-to-day motions of trying to go to school or go to work or do their job just so they can feel like they're accomplished something. But instead, you make them feel more crappy about themselves by telling them they were a faggot and a piece of garbage. This kid became so ratchet, censored, and so desensitized that he went home and grabbed his drunk father's gun, went back to school, and wanted to shoot the kid who did this to him. Now, instead of one kid, or two kids, even three kids, standing up and saying, stop, leave him alone, don't do that. He just wanted to speak to his friend. Or going to get a teacher. You know what they all did? They whipped out their phones on this TV show Flashpoint and recorded this crap. And then because the jock was the biggest and the baddest, they were all afraid of him. So they did exactly what he said. They recorded the video, sent it to their friends, to everyone in school, but no teachers ever saw it. No police officers, no parents ever saw it. But everybody in school saw it, made fun of the kid and everything. So he went home, and because he had been so ratchet censored for being a piece of trash, and his life was a little bit trashy, and considered to be a faggot, he went into what I like to call a berserker-like rage state. Okay, it's when if you ever seen ancient stories about how the Vikings defended their homeland so well, it's because they were fearful of people taking what little resources they had. So they developed a method. When somebody would invade their home, or they were about to fight another person on a different land, they would channel all their fear, all their aggression, all their painful memories into a berserker-like state until they became the most vicious thing they ever seen. So people wouldn't recognize them. It was like they were a wolf or a bear or a lion or a tiger defending their cubs. This kid basically became a berserker, okay? Because he had been so desensitized that a person actually bullied him, and all he wanted to do was talk to his best friend, because he hadn't talked to his best friend in a while. This kid went home, got his father's gun, came back, and all he wanted to do was find the person who did this to him and shoot him. But instead, he was so much in a berserker-like state, they ended up shooting the wrong person and sent an entire school into a frenzy. They locked down the school, everything, brought the police in, the Flashpoint people to talk him down, everything, before they heard a gunshot. And the kid didn't even shoot the kid, okay? You know what he did? He just the gun accidentally just went off when he was trying to get the kid to apologize. He just wanted the kid to apologize for what he did to him, okay? That's all he wanted, was an apology. Why is it so hard for us to say, I apologize, I'm sorry? But instead, we are so quick to ratchet censoring our brothers and sisters all across the land and sea. Just because they don't look the way we do, or speak the way we do, or act the way we do. We are so eager to make somebody feel like they are nothing in our eyes that we forget that we, by the snap of the Creator's hands, can become that very same way. It is taught to us at a young age by our ancestors and by the Father in heaven to humble ourselves. Yet we continue to forget to humble ourselves on a daily basis, and we think that we can just go about doing it wherever we please because we're the big jock, or we're the big cheerleader, or we're the big policeman, or we're the big president, or we're the big duchess, or duke, or lord, or lady, or princess. I say that to say this. You want to know why there's only maybe a few monarchies still around? And I say a few because people have grown tired of them. Okay? The monarchy seems to forget one thing. It's not your power. It's the people's power. The people placed you on that throne. The people gave you jewels and rubies. The people adorned you in gold and swords and armies. Without your armies that are of the people, without your sword, which was crafted by the people, without your castle, which was given to you by the people, without your wealth, which came from the people, you don't have, as as my godfather used to say, a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, okay? We have forgotten that we should think with our head, our heart, and allow our bodies to be united as one, okay? The head, the heart, and the body should be united as one. When we choose to think with our head and not with our heart, and do stuff that is not designed for our body to do, like hurt a common man or woman or whatever you want to call yourself, then guess what? We start ratchet censoring people. And you know what happens when we ratchet censor people? Wars break out. Whether it's a race war, a country war, nationality war, it doesn't matter. Political war, wars break out. And who does that benefit, my brothers and sisters? It benefits nobody, okay? Instead of putting a child in front of a computer and telling him to stay at home because he said a certain word, give him a dictionary and tell him to look up what that word means. So the next time he decides to use a bad word, he'll know that that's not something you should say. But instead, you send him home. You tell him that he has to learn from, you tell him he should be antisocial, desensitized. You tell him he should not be allowed to be around anybody else because he said this word or that word. Now I admit, as my mama used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. But we have allowed words to hurt us so much nowadays that we have started to ratchet censor everybody in our life. We need to rise up and wise up, my brothers and sisters. Stop ratchet censoring everyone. Stop ratchet censoring each other. We need to become one. We all across the land and sea, we all bleed red. And if we don't stop it, that's all that's going to be bleeding into the oceans, into the river, and into the sky. And there won't be no way to stop it because we'll be so busy ratchet censoring each other that we won't know the truth. We'll only believe the lies. I've spoken my piece, my brothers and sisters. Peace from the Heyoka.